everyone and welcome to another video. This is Beaks, Books and Beauty. My name is Emma and on this channel we talk about my many pets, the books I love to read and the odd makeup look just to break things up. So today's video is a super exciting video for me anyway, and this is going to be my TBR for this year's Magical Readathon. So I've not taken part in the Magical Readathon before this year. I always wanted to and then I never quite got round to it. And obviously this year it's been completely redone, and G from Book Roast has just recently put up her video explaining everything about Aurelium and the Novice Path. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go check out G from Book Roast and check her out on Twitter. I will have the links down below. So this is going to be a super fun readathon taking place from the 1st of September to the 30th, and I cannot wait. So I've been putting together my TBR and I'm really excited, and I'm going to be telling you the books that I hope to read for that TBR today. I'm not going to go into massive details about the readathon. I'm sure if you're watching this video you probably know about the readathon. So G from Book Roast has put together a list of prompts for the Novice Path and also a list of prompts for character building. So for the character building prompts, you've got from now until April, I believe, to read the books to build your character. And the prompts for your character building are to do with the character's background, heritage, and their province that they're from. And the other prompts are 7 prompts, and they are for the journey on the Novice Path to get to Aurelium, where there will be the Magical University. And the 7 prompts need to be completed within the month of September. So what I'm going to do before I forget them is show you the 3 prompts that are going to be building my character. I have not finished the details for my character just yet, but I do have picked the books for the character that I would like to read to build a little backstory. So my character is going to be a wildling. They're going to come from more of a woodland setting over a city setting, and the prompt for that was to read a book with a sort of forest or woodland setting. So for this prompt, the book that I've chosen to read is Forest of Souls by Laurie M. Lee. So this book I've had for a wee while and not got around to it yet, but it is to do with a forest of the dead, potentially. I'm not even that sure. I think it's like shamanic magic. So I think this book definitely fills the foresty setting prompt. So this will be book number 1 that I have to read before April to build my character's background. The next part of my character's backstory I need to build is the province that they are from. The province I've chosen to go for is Etheria, and for this prompt I need to read a book with fae characters or something like that. And I've decided to start the Witcher series of books. So this is The Last Witch, and this is the first book. I think it's a book of short stories in the Witcher series. So I've never read these books, but my partner has. I've watched the series with Henry Cavill on Netflix. That's very good. And yeah, so basically he is a witcher, he's a brilliant fighter, he is an assassin, and this is a book of short stories, I believe, that set up that series. And there are definitely elven fae type characters in the TV show, so I'm going to go with this. It starts off that series and I think would fit that prompt just fine. So I am going to be reading this one. The last thing I need to build for my character is their heritage. So I want my character to be an earthling. I thought they sounded the most fun when G was giving all the options, and the earthlings have elemental magic. So the prompt for this was to read a book with elemental magic or with something like that in the title. And I have chosen to read this beautiful thing. This is the Fairy Loot edition of The Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron. This is bloody beautiful. I just freaking love how gorgeous this book is. This character here definitely has some elemental magic, making plants grow and flowers bloom. I thought this sounded perfect. So I'm going to be reading this one before April next year, hopefully a bit sooner than that, because I just want to read the prettiest book ever. Oh my god. This is my first ever purchase from Fairy Loot, and I just couldn't not buy it because it's like green and purple, and that's my favorite colors. So I'm very excited to read this one. So for this readathon, the first sort of taster month, we're following the Novice Path to Aurelium, and there are 7 prompts to fulfill if you want to hit all the prompts, but I've told you only have to hit 2 of them to be successful in your path. Naturally, I've picked 7 books because I want to imagine that I'm going to get to 7 in the month of September. It's definitely doable, but I need to actually knuckle down because I've picked 7 physical books, and I would normally read a lot of audiobooks to bulk up my numbers. So I need to put some time to actually reading physical books in the month of September. But I've got plenty here to get me really excited about reading, and I'll just go through the prompt for you just now. So I can't remember on the map what each of the prompts stand for, and I could look it up, but my phone is gonna die and I'm trying to film this super fast. So I'm just gonna go with what I wrote in my book. So the first prompt is to read a book with a map. Now, naturally, these books are not in order because that would have been far too easy. But the book that I am reading that has a map is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. I was so excited when I realised this book has a map because not a lot of my books have maps. But here we go, we have a map. And I was, like I say, I was so happy to see it. So, The Gilded Ones, basically, as far as I know, it follows our main character here, and I think it's when they hit 16, they get tested. If you bleed red, you belong, and if you don't, then you are cast out. And I think she goes on to become a warrior for the Emperor. That is literally my entire knowledge of this book. I mostly bought it because it was pretty. I've got a problem. But it worked out in my favour because my spurious my impulse purchase, I have a map, I have it. It must have known it was going to be part of the readathon. So there was a reason, not just the fact that it was really, really pretty. So I will be reading this book for prompt number 1. Prompt number 2, and as G from Book Rose says, this is the easiest prompt to ever fulfill, ever, ever, ever. Read a book that tempts you. So essentially read a book on your TBR you most want to read. And for me, this is Claimed by J.R. Ward. So J.R. Ward is one of my favourite authors. I love her Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and there are tons of those. I've been reading them for like a decade now. And this is a new series with shifters. So I love me a shifter series. I'm obsessed with shifters, especially wolf shifters. I just eat that crap up, I honestly do. So this is a heart-pounding new series set in the Black Dagger Brotherhood world with a scientist fighting to save the Timberwolves and getting caught in a deadly trap herself. So the main character is called Lydia. She is trying to protect this pack of wolves, and a new hire comes out of nowhere to save her when she gets herself into some bother. And I am going to assume that Mr. New Hire Daniel is going to be a shifter, quite possibly. Shocking revelation that challenges Lydia's reality. That definitely sounds like the love interest might be a shifter. I don't know much about this book. I literally bought it because J.R. Ward. That was it. J.R. Ward plus shifter romance. I'm very, very tempted. So very excited to get into this one, and I'll probably get into it fairly soon into September because I'm really excited to read this one. So prompt number 3 was read a standalone. So not many of my books are standalones. I tend to, read the first book in a series and then forget about reading the rest of them and just have millions of series started all over the place. I've actually just created a spreadsheet inspired by Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction to actually count how many damn series I am in the middle of. I'm a little horrified. There may be a video coming up to go through some of these series. I might have to make it a challenge for next year to really tackle these series. So, plus I put a lot of work into that spreadsheet, so I really need to get some use out of it, apart from making myself sad. So, back to the point at hand. I don't have many standalone books. So, I have a couple. I had a couple dotted about on my TBR shelf, not many. And then the ones that were standalones were also potentially companion novels, and I was like, does that really count? I don't really know. I left this up to my partner to pick a standalone book for me. He hauled it out of the book. He hauled it out of my book trolley right here, and basically held it up and was like, "Is this a standalone?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." And this is No One Ever Has Sex on Tuesday by Tracy Bloom. Hey there, this is Editing Emma popping in because on further research, that book is not a standalone. Apparently, there's like 6 of them. I honestly thought it was a standalone, but it is not. So I'm going to have to trade that book out for something else. Verity by Colleen Hoover. So I'm pretty sure that one is definitely a standalone. So yeah, I'm going to trade No One Ever Has Sex on a Tuesday with Verity by Colleen Hoover. And I think this book is about someone who is drafted in to kind of ghostwrite the end of a series of a famous author, and then potentially gets into a relationship with her husband or something like that. I've heard it's really, really good. I've not read any books by Colleen Hoover, so I am going to put that one on my TBR in place of this one. For not doing research before you film videos. This is your own fault. The next prompt is to read a sort of spooky or supernatural book with like ghosts and stuff like that. And there was a book that I wanted to read during whatever-thon and never got to it, and thought, this is the perfect readathon to read it in. It fulfills that prompt just the thing. This is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. I meant to read this during whatever-thon because it has LGBTQ plus representation, and obviously that was kind of one of the main prompts to hit for that readathon, and I never got to it. So this follows our character Yadriel, who is a trans main character, I believe, and they wanted to prove that they are just as much of a brujo as needed by the family to work with the ghosts and help them move on to pastures new, I guess. And he tries to do some of this magic on his own to prove that he can do it, and ends up summoning the wrong ghost, I believe, and maybe falling in love with him. So I want to finally read this book. It's got some spookiness, and I really just want to read it, so it's going to fulfill that prompt for me. So the next prompt is to read a thriller or a mystery. And again, I really had no idea what to pick. I was being really indecisive, and my fiance Ewan was helping me compile this TBR. And so he just started plucking things off the shelf. That's how he got my other standalone book prompt picked there. So I said I need a thriller, and he picked a book that he thought looked like a thriller, and this is what he picked. And he was like, is this a thriller? And I was like, yep. And that's why I'm reading it. This I've had, I think I bought donkeys years ago. I can't even remember what it's about. 12 years ago, Linda's sister Anna was murdered. Her killer was never caught, but Linda saw him. Now, all these years on, she's just seen him again on TV. He has since become a well-known reporter, and Linda, a famous novelist and infamous recluse, knows no one will believe her if she accuses him, so she does the only thing she can think of. She writes a thriller about a woman who is murdered, her killer never caught. And when the book is published, she agrees to give one media interview at home to the person who knows more about the case than she does. This sounds really good, actually. Why have I not read this already? Yeah, I'm actually really excited to read this, actually. This sounds really, really good. So it says on the front, I know you killed my sister. I wrote this novel for you. Yeah, I'm really keen to read this now. So this will be my mystery thriller prompt fulfilled. Almost there now. The next prompt to fulfill is to read a 5-star prediction. And I can safely say that this book here is a 5-star prediction. It is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. If you watched my last video, my top 5 books of the year so far, you'll have seen other Laini Taylor books made that list, and that made me want to read more of her books. So, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I honestly have no idea what it's about. I just bought it because I liked Strange the Dreamer so much. So let's see. The main character is called Karu, and she managed to keep her two lives in balance. On one hand, she's a 17-year-old art student in Prague, and on the other, she's the errand girl to a monstrous creature who is the closest thing she has to family. Raised half in our world and half in elsewhere, she has never understood Brimstone's dark work. Buying teeth from hunters and murderers, nor how she came to be in his keeping. She is a secret even to herself, plagued by the sensation that she isn't whole. Now the doors to elsewhere are closing, and Karu must choose between the safety of her human life and the dangers of a war-ravaged world that may hold the answers she has always sought. This sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it. Most definitely a 5-star prediction. So yeah, I totally can't wait to read this book. And last prompt to fulfill, we have another pretty book with sprayed edges, because I have an obsession with sprayed edges. Oh, there's a sticker. Oh, there's a sticker on this book. I hate that. Anywho, let's not get distracted. The last prompt to fulfill is to read a book with a school setting. And we have The Yearbook by Holly Bourne. I adore Holly Bourne. She is brilliant. She is funny. I really enjoy her books. This book is Waterstones, as a Waterstones edition, and it's gorgeous. The dramas, the traumas, the rumours, it's time to expose all. Paige is used to keeping quiet in the face of lies at school and at home, but she's finally had enough. When she starts to find love through the pages of a book, she finds her voice too. Now she's going to rewrite her story, and the yearbook is the perfect place to do it. Paige Vickers, most likely to bring down the mean girls. This sounds great. I can't wait to read it. I basically think it's going to be a school setting of a bunch of girls bitching, I think. But yeah, I can't wait to read it. It's a beautiful book. It's got a school setting. Love the author's work. She is going to wrap up my prompt number 7 for the Novice Path. So that is the 10 books that I'm going to need to read to get me to the Magical University in Aurelium. 7 books have to be completed in September, and 3 books have to be completed by April next year. So those are all the books that I plan to read for Magical Readathon, and I am so pumped for this. Let me know down below if you're doing Magical Readathon as well, what you plan for your character, is there any books you want to read? Let me know down below. I'm super excited. I want to see if you're excited too, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye for now.